Welcome back. It's Smoking and Toasting. This is the radio program that's all about craft beer, fine spirits, and hand-rolled cigars. We are brought to you, by the way, by the fine folks at B&B Butchers and Restaurant, 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, and the shops at Clear Fork and Fort Worth, BB Italia on Memorial in Houston, BB Lemon, and the Annie Cafe and Bar. I am beginning to crave some B&B bacon. It's been too long.
We haven't been there.
We haven't been there,
in a while.
Too long. We should plan to do another show. Speaking of planning for shows, we are currently working on plans for what will be our third pipe show.
That sounds good.
The first pipe show that we did way back, I think it was like around episode 50 or so of the show. You and I did a pipe episode, and it was kind of like pipe smoking 101.
Right.
Like the basics of how to smoke
But that
pipes.
was before video.
Yeah.
Before we did the video.
Right,
yeah.
I think it was before video. Then...
That was at the Mucky Duck.
Yes, we had a good time out in the back patio of the Mucky Duck there. Then, when we did our last pipe show, we went over to the New Potato, and it was the Ian Shows Off pipe show.
What are you talking about?
I brought my little pipe, which I love, and Ian brought his pipe collection.
I brought a part of my pipe.
You brought the whole thing. Yeah, and it was pretty impressive, I have to say.
I have nice pipes.
You really do. You have nice pipes.
I've been told.
And you're not a bad guitar player either.
You're actually pretty good at that.
So anyway, we're working on another pipe show. So this will be interesting and a lot of fun. Interestingly enough, for whatever reason, I've noticed that the pipe shows tend to get a lot of attention out there. I'm not sure.
I don't think a lot of people do pipe shows.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe it's because there's not that much pipe show stuff out there. You know. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, we'll look forward to that. It's going to be a pretty interesting thing. And then you mentioned to me, can we talk about Old Humble or should we wait?
Well, I haven't reached out to them. They said something last week on it, and I haven't reached out to them yet. But they mentioned, hey, we should do a cocktail show, and I said yes. So I'm going to reach out to them this week and see if we can pull them in real quick.
That answer would be yes.
And then let's do a show about cocktails.
Cocktails made with
I'm
Old
not sure
Humble.
how to say no to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure you should say no to
right?
that. I don't think you should. So trends for craft beer for 2020. Let's walk through a few of these interesting comments, and then we'll get to our tequila here. The reason I thought this article was interesting was because of the people that they asked. What do you see as the next trends or the next things developing for craft beer?
Can I put one in before we start?
Sure.
Trends for craft beer are going to be macro brews making something that they think looks like craft beer.
That's been a trend actually for a while.
Even more. They're putting their own name on it. I keep seeing the Budweiser Special Reserve billboards and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
We're
I think
crafty.
We're
hey guys,
sort of crafty.
Crafty too.
Yeah. Don Bichelle, the former chief commercial officer for Revolution Brewing, which is a great brewery, says the next decade is going to show an increasing shrink in the number of brewery brands that'll be able to get deep into the distributor and retail tiers, and this will contribute to the number of buyouts and strategic partnerships. So this does make some sense as the smaller craft breweries' financial impact moves more towards what they can do at their own tap room and what they can sell their own place. The concept of getting your beer distributed, like Eureka Heights has done here in Houston, for example, or so many of the ones that are with Silver Eagle or some of the other distributors, that's going to become fewer and fewer breweries, he's saying, are going to be able to get that kind of deep penetration into the distribution system. So what this is going to mean for a situation like us is that the AB-owned craft beer in our case, Carbach.
Macrocraft.
But it could be Goose Island or wherever it is, wherever you are. That's going to take up more and more of the shelf space of the less specialty
Macrocraft takes up almost the entire craft beer shelf space. I can't talk.
Shelf space.
Shelf space.
Yes.
It's easy for you to say.
I said it slow.
It takes up almost the entire shelf space.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost an entire door of the craft beer section, which is only 2 doors at my HEB.
Right. And as frustrating as that is.
all Carbach.
As frustrating as that is, it's even more frustrating to me when you go to a restaurant and they've got maybe 5 or 6 taps and 4 of them are AB products. and then you really just have two things to choose from.
It's like going to Buffalo Wild Wings. They got great wings, but they only have two beers there. Mm-hmm. Like they literally have a wall of taps.
Yes.
But they only have two beers worth drinking, and that's going to be
Sam Adams,
and Fireman 4.
And Fireman 4. Yep, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
Kim Jordan is the co-founder of New Belgium Brewing. Kim says in terms of what's next, what we'll inevitably see is a shakeout and fewer breweries. So what will that mean for the beer business? Likely less choices, less innovation, or even breweries taking fewer chances. Or it could mean stabilization and a re-energized core of more successful breweries. Additionally, he says, as we've already seen, the rise of cannabis and sobriety will play a role in the further impact of the beer category. I do think we're going to see more beer cannabis crossovers.
I see that. I am going to disagree with his first statement, though, because what's going to happen is, as with anything else, we've got all these breweries, like especially they start changing some of the TABC laws here in Texas and stuff. You have all these breweries popping up. And I think the initial idea was, I'm going to start a brewery and I'm going to take this brewery and make it like distribute everywhere, Mm-hmm. But realistically, what breweries are starting to realize is we can be a local entity. So now a lot of these breweries around town are, instead of becoming we're a brewery and we just distribute stuff, they're becoming a place where you go hang out. And that makes a big difference. So they're becoming a local brewery. So a lot of places aren't even distributing their beer outside of their brewery. Now you have some that have gone into local markets and stuff like that, like you mentioned Eureka Heights and things like that. But what happens is, I think that as breweries become their own destination, much like any bar, but an interesting bar that makes their own beer and that kind of stuff, which I think is super cool, you're going to have the breweries that can't make it in either one of those arenas are going to go away. And you're going to have the breweries that make it as a destination hangout, and as I can distribute locally and make, make the bills that way and things like that. I think those places are going to stay around, and I don't think it's going to make less innovation. I think it's going to allow those beers that are still stuck, that are still around, to be able to go, you know what, we can actually spread our wings a little bit. We don't have to make the same old IPA. We don't have to make the same old lager. We don't have to make the same old, things. We can try some different things. And I love a lot of these breweries when you go to them. Like I said, you can go just in the Heights here in Houston. You can go walk
so many
to
places.
4 or 5 different breweries.
Yeah, right.
And not even a long walk, They're all right next to each other, and try different ones and see what all they have, and they have all kinds of different flavors and things. But they're treated not like, a brewery that's going to distribute everywhere. They're treated more like a bar that you come hang out, and we make this beer.
And we make a really cool beer of our own, and several really cool beers of our own, and here they are.
Yes.
Yeah. No, you're
so
absolutely right.
I think that's where the market's going to go. It's going to become a little less, I'm just going down to the local bar, and more, I'm going down to the local brewery.
Daniel Canary, who is the co-founder and CEO of Harpoon Brewery in Boston. What's up, Daniel? Miss you guys. Says there's going to be a huge hangover from this unsustainable boom. The fast money will try to leave as quickly as it entered, distorting economics again in the other direction. Those brewers who thought the good and easy times would last forever are in for a rude awakening. And that's an interesting take. The fast money will be out quick.
Yeah.
And that's probably true. But I always kind of enjoy that shakeout. It was great for the cigar industry. The best thing that ever happened to the cigar industry was the boom and then the boom ending.
Right.
The boom was great because it really proliferated the whole concept and ideas of cigars. Mm-hmm. But the side effect was that there wasn't enough tobacco and some really inferior cigars got made. And when the boom ended, all of a sudden things started to get really good.
Right.
That was one of the best times. I mean, it's great to be a cigar smoker now, in terms of what your options are and what your, the different things that you can try and all of that. But I'll tell you, it's been good ever since, late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, yeah, our choices, and they're all solid choices, and you ended up with a lot of solid brands, because that's the problem with the boom, is you end up with a lot of transitory brands. Like, hey, are we going to make it? Or people that are like, oh, I see that people can make beer. I can make beer real quick and set it up. And I think that's where they're talking about the quick money. But
yeah,
I got to think, though, if you're opening a brewery, I don't think there is quick money in opening a brewery.
No,
there's
think
a
you're
little
right.
less of that. So quick money
right.
is in an air quote
maybe
on that
there was
one.
a day. Yeah, I think the guys at St. Arnold would love to go. Quick money? What are you talking about?
Those
You know
guys
how
have
long
been
this
at it,
took
yeah.
us? Sam Caglione, by the way, is the founder of Dogfish Head, and he says, and I think this is one of the more interesting takes. He says, growing demand for beers that are high in flavor and food compatibility, but lower in calories.
Yeah.
Fruit-infused sour beers and low-cal IPAs are two categories that they believe at Dogfish Head will grow strong for many years to come. So I thought that was really interesting. And by the way, I applaud all of that. That all sounds like a really, really good idea to me. Ian, you have, like the champion that you are, poured us some tequila.
Well, you were talking.
The Cantera Negra Tequila. It's from Jalisco, Mexico. Yeah, and are you drinking tequila?
No, I'm just giving you out.
I brought my.
So
it earned a gold, 2 silvers, and a bronze medal in 2017 at the prestigious San Francisco World Spirits Competition. They say here for one reason: superior.
I haven't
taste.
tried this yet, but it smells like butter and caramel and agave.
You know the cap on
and
the
a little
bottle.
pepper.
The cap on the bottle is interesting because it's a little piece of black volcanic rock.
Oh,
and this
nice.
tequila,
I thought it felt interesting.
the agave is grown on hillside fields of ancient black volcanic rock. Blue agave. Have you tasted?
Yes.
Your thoughts, sir?
Buttery pepper.
Buttery pepper. Doesn't that almost sound like two things that wouldn't go
Like
together?
I want this on a biscuit.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a little almost there's a sweetness to it that's almost a syrup, like a molasses kind of.
We really get the pepper on the finish, and you get a little bit of, I was going to say maple on the finish as well. Yeah, that's delicious. So we've tried a lot of tequilas on the show.
This one has a little more bite on the tail end of it. You definitely know you're drinking a tequila.
There's some heat there, yeah, but it's very smooth at the same time.
It's a smooth heat. It's not a harsh heat, but it is very evident. Is this right at 40% or 40 proof?
Mm-hmm. I believe that it is. Yes.
They don't say a lot on the.
That's why they give you this.
They give you the card that you've already read, right?
with incredibly small print.
Yeah, 40% by volume.
They use an artisan approach, and but they're really big on.
There wasn't much on the website either.
The richness of their taste that defines their elixir de agave. Oh, I like that. Elixir de agave.
Elixir de agave.
That sounds like something you didn't get sick on in college.
Right?
You know what I mean? I like this. It's not my favorite tequila, certainly, but it's also not from that price range.
There's a lot I like about this. I love the butteriness. I love the mapley sweetness in here, and I like the pepper because, like those of you listening, don't get turned off by the fact that we're saying pepper because the pepper is evident, but it's not. It doesn't leave a spicy heat on the tongue.
No, and it's not like what's that pepper doing in there? Like
right.
It works.
No, it really works. It's like when you put pepper on your biscuits and gravy. It's part of the flavor of what's going on.
Part of
what
you're looking
right?
for. Pepper in your egg salad.
Right. So it's really, really good that way. It has a little more heat, like it's a smooth heat, but it's definitely more evident than some of the ones we've tried before. It's very drinkable.
This seems like a very fun bottle to take and pass around at a get together, or you know, I mean, just like pouring everybody little sips and everybody's kind of sipping it communally.
What's the price point on this bottle?
Believe that this bottle is about $45.
About 45. Yeah.
Which is not bad for an añejo, you know?
No, I got you. I wouldn't be disappointed with this. There are a lot of tequilas you've brought in that I can envision having, even with with an ice cube in it or something like that. I can't envision this with ice cube. I feel like if you put ice or even much water in this, it would turn into basically a mineral water flavor with some tequila. But
that it might not
as it
dilute
stands,
well.
like I'm just trying this neat and room temperature. I think this is really good.
How do you think this is paired with cigars? I'm a big fan of pairing tequila and cigars, and find that most higher end tequilas are easy to pair with cigars.
I think that you would have to go with this particular cigar just because the heat on the finish on this. You'd have to go with a cigar that wasn't super robust.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that the heat on the finish of this and a super robust cigar with like a lot of pepper in it
might fight with each other.
Would definitely, I think they would clash a little bit.
But
I think if you went something nice and smooth, like a La Palina Candela, that I can't remember the name of that Candela that they make, but it's so outstanding.
You know what I was thinking would be good with this is the Aladino Connecticut.
Yeah, the Aladino Connecticut would be fantastic with this. Those the cigars on the lighter side, like that Hemingway you started to mention a minute ago. Anything on that lighter side, I think would go really, really well with this. Whereas again, a big beast of a cigar, like you wouldn't want this with a San Lotano,
Right.
I just don't think that they'd mesh well. I think the peppers would kind of fight with each other.
I think you may be right. I'll tell you what else, and not to be repetitive, because we've been accused of being repetitive.
We have been accused of being repetitive.
And sometimes we've been accused of being repetitive.
We've been accused of being repetitive.
Have you ever been accused of being repetitive?
We have been accused of being repetitive.
That's what I thought. So not to invoke that demon, but I will mention that, you know what this would go great with?
Yeah.
Tamales.
Wouldn't
that be great?
Maybe we're just craving tamales.
I think we are craving tamales. We need to do a tamale show. How can we find the tamale lady?
Like I don't know. You have to go to a bar and hang out.
Yeah, because I've been at places here in Houston where she's shown up, and I've been like, over here.
Yes, please. Yes, please. And it's very distinctively the tamale lady or the one guy, because the two younger guys that go wander around and sell tamales, they're not as good.
And I will say this, too. If the tamale lady shows up and you're at the bar and you've already eaten and you're full,
buy them anyway.
And take them home. Yes.
And get extra of the little tiny green sauce, because that stuff's so hot and delicious.
This is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Random tangents.
You're right. We are on random tangents, and we're hungry today, I can tell. But no, this would go great, I think, with any Mexican food. Obviously,
Absolutely.
Tequila, it generally does, but if you had this with an enchilada plate or with fajitas or with tamales.
I think this maybe, and maybe you're probably right, probably better than some of the more complex ones that we've had, because while this doesn't, I hate to use the word lack, it doesn't have a lot of complexity.
It is pretty straightforward, but in a wonderful way.
But I think that if you're going to eat this with, or if you're going to drink this with food that you're eating, you don't want it to be super complex, but you do want it to complement. I think you're right on this. This would be great. Like, I can picture fajitas with this, like some lime beef fajitas and some.
One of the things I've noticed in obviously
a crunch wrap.
Yeah, yeah. Locos Dorito,
couple deep fried tacos,
Locos Dorito taco, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed from going to Tex-Mex restaurants, which down here generally will have a fairly decent, tequila selection, is that sometimes I've ordered tequilas that I've had before just by themselves. And you order them and sip them while you're enjoying, some quesadillas or something, and it's a completely different experience. The tequila, not just the food, but the tequila is a completely different experience.
Well, I can see
richer.
There are certain tequilas that I could see going much better with more like the seafood style, like the ceviche and things like that. And then this I don't see going well with the seafood style.
This is.
I don't see it going with
beef fajitas.
Fish taco. This is beef fajitas right here. Beef or pork fajitas
or tamales.
Tamales.
Did I mention tamales?
I think we just want tamales.
I think we're getting repetitive here.
I see Trey's watching us. Trey knows about the tamale lady because he's been at a bar and gotten tamales from the tamale lady.
If you've been at a bar and gotten tamales from the tamale lady, chime in right now on the comments. We'd love to just pack the comments with tamale comments. All right, let's take a break. Ian, I really like this. As you said, it's not as complex as some of the tequilas that we've tried, but I really like what it is.
Well, we talk about complexity, and a lot of people like complexity. The truth is, sometimes you don't need a multi-tool, you need a hammer. And that's all right.
That's well said. And on that, because I'm not going to come up with anything that tops that, we will take a break and be back with our final segment. In our final segment, by the way, chocolate peanut butter pastry stout.
That sounds delicious.
What I love about that is the word pastry gets thrown in there. We've had plenty of chocolate peanut butter stouts before. But this is chocolate peanut butter pastry.
I just assume when you
Stout.
put that many syllables in the name of a beer, it's got to be amazing.
It has to be good. We'll be right back.